As my niece and I settled in for a night of house sitting at my elder brother's place while he and his wife were away, a curious moment unfolded. Amid our lively discussions about our plans for the following day, my niece surprised me by indicating she was ready for bed. With swift determination, she slipped into the closet without hesitation, leaving me momentarily stunned. Hastily reaching out to stop her, I was met with a puzzled look. I'm Melissa, a 24-year-old housewife, and my brother, 5 years my senior, has always been a steadfast presence since we lost our parents early in life. Our bond remained strong even after we both married, and we continue to lean on each other for support. While my in-laws are wonderful, they reside in Alaska, making it challenging to rely on them for immediate assistance. As for my brother Sam and his wife, their union was hastily arranged after a clash with her parents, leading to an ongoing estrangement. With no nearby relatives to lean on, our bond of unwavering support flourished. It grew even stronger when Sam and his wife welcomed their daughter, closely followed by the arrival of a little girl into my own family 4 years later. Living in the same city, the daughters became inseparable, akin to true sisters. As the years passed and my niece Sarah approached her 10th birthday, Sam shared his plans for a special 10th wedding anniversary trip. "Melissa, would you mind looking after Sarah while we're away?" Sam's request came with a touch of hesitation. "It's just a short overnight trip nearby, but we thought it'd be nice to have some time alone." I readily agreed, eager to assist. When we discussed logistics and I inquired about picking up Sarah, Sam shook his head, indicating a different plan. It became clear he wanted me to stay over at their house with Sarah, concerned about leaving it unattended for security reasons. I playfully teased Sam about his excessive concern but eventually relented, opting to spend the night alone. I left my daughter, who still harbors some sleepover jitters, in the care of my husband. On the day of their anniversary getaway, I headed to Sam's house. Holding Sarah's hand, we bid farewell to her parents. She seemed a tad apprehensive as she watched them depart, but our house-sitting escapade was about to commence. Initially, I had planned to bring my daughter along and have my husband retrieve her at bedtime. However, Sarah adamantly refused, so I abandoned the idea. While I know she enjoys my daughter's company, she remained firm in her decision without offering an explanation. Sensing her disappointment, I'd offered to treat her to a playdate at my house after breakfast the next day, sparking a glimmer of excitement in her eyes. Sarah typically tailors her play to include my daughter, so I brought along some slightly more intricate games and puzzles that adults could also enjoy. As I laid them out, I asked her what she fancied playing. We whiled away the hours engaged in games and cooking dinner together, yet Sarah remained by my side, casting nervous glances around the room. Initially, I attributed her behavior to potential loneliness or lingering nerves from being away from her parents, but even after several hours, her demeanor didn't shift. Concerned, I gently probed if something troubled her, but no matter how many times I inquired, her response remained the same. "No, it's nothing," without divulging further. Sarah's guarded behavior hinted at an unseen apprehension. It wasn't until bedtime approached that I grasped the gravity of her unease. Sarah slipped into her pajamas, a smile adorning her face as she swung open the closet door, and declared her intention to turn in early, planning to head to my house in the morning. To my surprise, nestled within the closet was a bed, its presence catching me off guard. Attempting to make sense of the situation, I watched as Sarah swiftly settled onto the bed, bidding me good night while nudging the door closed. My astonishment spilled out in a raised voice. "Wait, Sarah, are you planning to sleep in there?" Her response, delivered with a solemn expression, affirmed her decision. "Yes, but it's okay. I'll keep it slightly ajar. If anything happens, I'll wake up immediately." Concealing my bewilderment, I extended an invitation for Sarah to join me in my own bed. After some hesitation, she relented and joined me. She explained her desire to keep the bed in the closet as a hiding spot. Though perplexed by her reasoning, I reassured her it was perfectly acceptable. With a bright tone, I queried why she felt the need for a hiding spot. After extracting a promise from me not to chuckle, she leaned in and whispered, "The monster might come." At first, one might assume she was just an innocent child, but the tale she spun shattered any semblance of innocence. Sarah trembled, clinging tightly to my arm. "The monster is terrifying and cunning. It only shows up when Daddy's away. If it appears, Mommy has to fend it off, and I must stay hidden in the closet until she succeeds. Mommy always cries during the struggle." Once, I tried to assist her, but the monster's banging on the closet door scared me so much. I wrapped my arms around Sarah, feeling her tremble against me, and sighed deeply. Perhaps this monster was more than a bedtime tale. It felt too real. The revelation of my sister-in-law's affair, discovered in such an unexpected manner, left me adrift. If the supposed monster was indeed her lover, it wouldn't dare approach this house while she was absent. Yet Sarah firmly believed it targeted days when Daddy was away. As I observed Sarah's vigilance throughout the day, her proximity a shield against potential threats, my heart ached. Considering the gentle soul of my niece and my brother's unwavering trust in his wife, anger swelled within me towards my sister-in-law. But above all, I yearned to offer solace and reassurance to Sarah. I gently clasped Sarah's hand, offering her a reassuring smile. "Don't worry, Auntie's here today. You mentioned the monster is cunning, right? Well, it'll be caught off guard by a stranger like me and won't dare to come near the house. Besides, your mommy, who the monster always targets, is safe with Daddy right now, so it can't harm her." Despite my attempts to ease her anxiety, Sarah remained clouded with worry, unaware of the monster's true identity. With each passing moment, her apprehension grew, fearing an imminent attack. She suggested we seek refuge together in the closet, prompting me to encourage her to share her concerns about the monster. I hoped that by addressing her fears one by one, she would eventually find peace and drift off to sleep. As I listened to Sarah's distressing revelations, I realized I couldn't simply remain idle. Without hesitating, I whisked her out of the house, disregarding her attire, and swiftly drove us home. Upon arrival, I briefed my husband on the situation and coordinated for him and his friends to spend the night at Sam's house. Around 10 p.m., after my husband and his companions had departed, I received a call from Sam inquiring about Sarah's well-being. "Has Sarah already retired for the night? Don't forget to take care of yourself and your family too. Ensure the house is securely locked. Good night," he advised before bidding farewell. After inquiring about Sarah, Sam urged me to ensure the door was securely locked before retiring for the night. His stern warning resonated deeply, and I fought to steady my voice as I assured him. Once the call ended, I glanced at the peaceful slumber of Sarah and my daughter, steeling myself to confront the lurking menace. The following morning, my husband returned from my brother's house, and my emotions swirled with a mixture of fear and anger as he recounted the events of the previous night. Relief washed over me, knowing my actions had been justified. We spent the remainder of the day at home, anxiously awaiting my brother and his wife's arrival to retrieve Sarah. Upon laying eyes on me, my brother's demeanor shifted to stern interrogation. He demanded to know why Sarah and I had departed his house during the night. "Why didn't you stay put as I instructed? I explicitly warned you not to leave. You claim to understand, so what possessed you to return home on your own?" His accusations left me feeling uneasy, prompting me to question how, while on a trip, he was aware of our absence. Avoiding direct eye contact, he reluctantly confessed, "We provided Sarah with a smartphone equipped with GPS." His revelation contradicted his earlier insistence on not leaving the house during our phone call the previous night. If he had indeed monitored the GPS, he would have easily discerned our departure. Suppressing my urge to confront Sam then and there, I maintained a composed demeanor, mindful not to disturb the children in the adjacent room. "By the way, did you have visitors last night?" My brother's tone shifted, his concern palpable. "Two unfamiliar men showed up at your house late. Who are they? Why would they come to a house that's meant to be occupied only by Sarah and you in the dead of night?" His voice quivered, though not from fear of the unknown intruders, but from a different source altogether. As he spoke, it became evident he was treading cautiously, his eyes darting around. "About those men," I pressed for clarification, but my brother's attempts at evasion were interrupted by his wife, Kate. Whether she was anxious about further discussion or for other reasons, she abruptly called for Sarah and declared they were heading home. As Sarah emerged from another room upon hearing her mother's call, Kate seized her hand with an unmistakable force. Abruptly, Sam's demeanor shifted, his words carrying an abrupt finality. "I can't forgive what happened, but we're leaving today," he declared, urging Sarah to depart the room. Despite my efforts to dissuade them, my brother and his wife remained resolute in their decision to leave. Ignoring my pleas, they pressed on without a backward glance. Witnessing Sarah's resistance to her parents' departure, I swiftly drew her close. "What's going on?" Kate's startled cry echoed as she released Sarah's hand, but I shielded the child behind me, creating a barrier between us and the departing couple. Amidst their hostile tirade, my husband and I stood firm, adamantly refusing to surrender Sarah. As they advanced toward us with fury in their eyes, we managed to usher them out of the room, firmly asserting our stance against allowing Sarah to be taken away. Swiftly, a waiting police officer intervened, promptly detaining the agitated couple. Confusion reigned as the officers attempted to contact my brother and his wife. Sam vehemently insisted to the officer that it was we who should be detained, alleging that we had taken Sarah from her home and were holding her against her will. My sister and her husband have abducted her from her rightful place. Please rescue her swiftly, he implored, despite our protests. Our daughter, emerging from the chaos, sought refuge behind me, engaging Sarah in a bewildered conversation, affirming she was not being held against her will. Sam's stern demand for Sarah to accompany him fell on deaf ears as she clung to my side, paralyzed by her father's towering anger. Kate remained silent beside the officer, casting furtive glances at Sam, hinting at an unspoken message intended for him and Sarah. As the officer restrained Sam, who was causing a scene at the entrance, my husband intervened, holding his smartphone aloft. Sensing the tension, I ushered Sarah and our daughter back into the adjacent room, urging them to close the door to muffle any sounds. With their safety ensured, my husband silently played a video he had recorded in my brother's house the previous night. As the footage unfolded before their eyes, a ghostly pallor washed over the couple's faces, betraying the shock of realization. The video unfolded with eerie precision, capturing the quiet turning of the house key followed by the stealthy entrance of two unknown men, seemingly armed with a duplicate key. Their jovial demeanor upon entering, coupled with mentions of my brother's name, sent shivers down our spines. "You guys are ghosts too, huh?" they quipped, followed by a chilling joke about discounted rates, invoking my familial connection. With smirks etched across their faces, they directed their attention to my husband and his friends. Evading direct inquiries, my husband's friend offered a vague response, prompting one of the men to boast about the sum paid, hinting at a close relationship with my brother and his wife. Their unsettling remarks took a darker turn as they casually mentioned their plans involving Sarah. As the camera caught a glimpse of their profile, a sinister aura emanated, rendering them more villainous than any mere monster. From my vantage point, the screen remained obscured, but the chilling audio alone sent shivers down my spine. Following the playback, my husband's friends wasted no time interrogating the intruders, probing into their frequent visits and habitual pairings. Their inquiries soon turned to Sarah and me, a sense of urgency tainting their tone. My husband's terse admission of our absence seemed to jolt the intruders into reality, realizing the gravity of their situation. With mounting tension, the men made a hasty exit, their hurried departure leaving lingering questions in their wake. Whether they had overlooked my husband's recording until the last moment or deliberately concealed its existence remained unclear. My brother, appearing visibly shaken, vehemently protested his ignorance, clinging to the belief that he was being framed. However, the damning evidence presented in the video, entrusted to me and young Sarah by my brother, shattered any lingering doubts. His feigned ignorance failed to sway anyone, leading to his apprehension by the authorities. Kate, though feigning innocence, found herself under scrutiny as well, her involvement questioned by the officers who had heard Sarah's testimony. Consequently, both Sam and Kate were escorted into custody, their roles in the unfolding drama under intense scrutiny. During the police investigation, Sam and Kate eventually came clean, leading to their arrest. Shockingly, Kate had been orchestrating a lucrative scheme, inviting men to their home while Sam was away at work and profiting from their visits. When she realized there was a demand for children, she exploited Sarah, carefully skirting the law to assist her mother, who was under pressure from unsavory individuals. Innocent Sarah, unaware of the sinister motives, innocently posed for photos which Kate used to entice potential clients. These were innocent snapshots, devoid of any suggestive content, captured with a disposable camera and only lent out to interested parties, never sold. While I detested Kate for her actions initially, it seemed like a matter that didn't directly concern my husband and me. However, things took a darker turn when Sam not only condemned but actively participated in the exploitation, rather than reprimanding his wife or protecting their daughter. So, instead of addressing the issue, Sam decided to expand the operation, recruiting men to become clients, believing that more employees would lead to increased revenue. With this simple yet flawed logic, he devised a plan to involve me in his business. Knowing I would never willingly agree, he resorted to coercion, using the threat of exposing the photos as leverage. Their scheme took a sinister turn when they carefully selected a day when the neighbors were absent, locking both Sarah and me inside their house. Then, without a second thought, they exchanged their house key for a large sum of money and departed on a pre-planned vacation, leaving us behind. Unbeknownst to them, Sarah, who had always dutifully obeyed their commands, chose to reveal the truth in order to protect me. Despite her limited understanding of the conversations, Sarah sensed the danger lurking around us, and she confided in me, unveiling the nightmarish reality of Sam's household. Faced with this revelation, I implored my husband to capture the perpetrator's activities on camera that very night. Their inadvertent disclosure provided crucial evidence for the police, prompting swift action upon my report. Simultaneously, I notified child welfare services to ensure Sarah's safety. From the vantage point of the police bus, we watched as Sam and Kate were apprehended at their doorstep, finally shielding Sarah from their grasp. Despite being first-time offenders, the severity of their crimes, including violations of child welfare and anti-prostitution laws, warranted their imprisonment. The police emphasized the gravity of the situation, particularly the implications of the stored images of the child, which could never be completely eradicated once leaked online. The chilling reality of their actions struck me to the core as the police relayed this information. Fortunately, Kate hadn't digitized or sold the photos of Sarah and had kept them securely stored, averting any potential leaks. It's baffling to comprehend how my once kind and dependable brother Sam could devolve into such a monstrous figure. Until then, our relationship had been characterized by mutual support, making it all the more frightening to realize how deeply he had descended into darkness. Despite their arrests, I still grapple with the enormity of their actions. Following Sam and Kate's apprehension, the authorities also interrogated the other individuals involved. Initially, they attempted to claim innocence, arguing that it was merely an attempted crime. However, the discovery of a child's photograph in their possession and the revelation of additional criminal activities confessed by Sam and Kate during the investigation led to their arrest on multiple charges. After dealing with the monsters and their associates, our next concern was Sarah's well-being. With both her parents unfit for guardianship and no family willing to step in, Child Protective Services decided to remove her from their care. While this was a relief, Sam and I faced the harsh reality that neither of us had parental figures, and Kate's family had severed ties. We discovered that if we couldn't find a suitable guardian within Kate's family, Sarah would be placed in foster care. After much deliberation with my husband, we made the decision to adopt her. Sarah held a special place in my heart, and I couldn't bear the thought of parting ways with her. Thankfully, my husband shared my sentiment, and we saw this as an opportunity to start anew in the countryside, closer to my in-laws. Moving to the countryside not only provided Sarah with stability but also allowed my daughter to spend more time with her grandparents, whom she adored. She was thrilled to have Sarah as her older sister, fulfilling her long-standing wish. Free from the clutches of her parents, Sarah quickly adapted to her new role and environment, embracing a life filled with peace and happiness.
I'm moving into this house with my mom. When my husband expressed disbelief, my mother-in-law, standing beside us, shouted, "I'll cover the monthly payments, so leave." I was shocked by their strange behavior. The reason behind their drastic change would become clear after 019. The apartment lease was transferred to my mother-in-law's name. I'm called Summer, and I turned 34 this year. My late father chose the name Summer because I was born during that season, and he cherished me deeply. He owned a small factory known for his grinding technology, and I admire his strong presence. Despite my mother scolding me for playing there, my father always took the time to explain his techniques to me. My father's factory faced trouble when the bank tightened loans, resulting in mounting debts despite his excellent skills. The bank considered the old factory not worthy of a loan. Eventually, due to the increasing debts, my father took his own life in the factory. Left with me in elementary school when mother fled the town, and we started living quietly elsewhere. My mother also passed away during my high school years due to the years of hardship, leaving me resentful of the world. However, what kept me going and prevented me from losing hope was the strong desire to showcase my father's skills to the world. I worked hard, earned a scholarship, completed high school, and managed multiple part-time jobs to cover living expenses while studying engineering at a public university. I met Jason, my husband, during university. He was a bit disorganized and often asked for my lecture notes. Since I didn't have many friends in university, Jason's friendly approach gradually drew me to him. Unlike other men, he wasn't put off by my assertiveness. He deeply respected me, saying, "Summer, you're amazing." It gave me a warm feeling, reminiscent of when my father praised me. After graduating from university, Jason secured a job at a small to medium-sized enterprise, while I joined a large corporation. We moved in together right after graduation. Jason took the initiative in household chores, which was a huge help as I was busy with work. 6 years later, at the age of 28, armed with skills and connections, I embarked on realizing my dream of reviving my father's small factory. Jason, always supportive, cheered, "Finally, your dream is coming true." Although marriage had been a topic over those 6 years, I insisted on waiting until my dream materialized, and he patiently waited. To kickstart the project, I raised funds through crowdfunding, leveraging my identity as a female engineer. I became the face of the campaign, garnering support for women's empowerment, gradually accumulating resources and talent. 4 years later, I successfully breathed new life into the small factory. Knowing the bank's reluctance to fund an old factory, I equipped it with cutting-edge machinery, focusing on a clean, modern appearance, creating a workplace where women could feel comfortable. The business took off smoothly, swiftly ascending to the ranks of top-tier factories. To the world, I might have seemed like a fortunate female success story, but it was the outcome of my unwavering effort. Only Jason, my companion since university, truly understood this. Unfortunately, instead of rejoicing in my achievements, Jason, who faced challenges in his job at the small to medium-sized enterprise, lagged behind his peers, and remained a regular employee, grew increasingly cynical. He started envying others, and whenever we met, he'd express his discontent, saying things like, "You're doing well," or "You deserve someone better than me." I consistently reassured him that my success was thanks to his unwavering support. Although unsure if I would have succeeded without him, he remained unconvinced. So, as proof, I decided to marry him and assured him he could stay just the way he was. What I desired from him was tranquility and solace, an innocent heart genuinely moved by my endeavors. However, perhaps things change after a decade as a working adult. I hoped marriage would bring peace to his heart, but little did I know it would have the opposite effect, leading to days filled with regret. When our marriage was arranged, we promptly visited both families. I had the impression that Jason's family, being a typical office worker's household, must be cheerful since Jason grew up there. However, the reality was starkly different. Their home was a 50-year-old wooden structure, showing signs of wear and tear, seemingly on the verge of collapse. Upon seeing me, Jason's mother gave me a sharp look and remarked, "So, you're the rich president everyone's talking about." Having seen my face in the media during fundraising, she seemed to interpret my well-dressed appearance as an arrogant display of wealth. "Jason has been under your care quite a bit, hasn't he? Oh, how thankful we are. Please come in, even though it's dirty," she continued sarcastically, leading me inside. Jason, standing behind me, shrugged as if it were routine and nudged me forward. Jason's father, perhaps unintentionally, wore a worn-out, lint-covered outfit and took a seat on the sofa. "Oh, sorry about this. We were raised this way, different from some rich folks," he apologized, offering a seat. I felt like I had ventured into enemy territory alone, but Jason sat quietly beside me, offering no support. His parents would counter, "That's how rich people are different from us commoners," to anything I said, making any meaningful interaction nearly impossible. Later, I inquired with Jason about his parents' aversion to the wealthy. He confirmed it, revealing that he had held such sentiments since childhood. Whenever he saw a large house, he'd comment, "They must have done something bad to build that. Rich people are definitely up to no good. They don't have a heart." those born into rich families always look down on us commoners. Don't associate with such people. He harbored a strong dislike for the affluent, and his parents even scolded him for befriending a classmate from a wealthy landowner's family. Despite not growing up wealthy and having once envied the rich, I was curious about the origins of such sentiments. It turned out Jason's parents didn't approve of our relationship. His mother frequently accused me of exploiting him, and his father taunted him, saying, "Don't let a woman oppress you." While Jason's growing bitterness as I succeeded might have been influenced by his parents, my wealth was dedicated to fulfilling my late father's dream, not to belittle or take advantage of others. Although Jason had explained this, my success seemed to overshadow everything else in their eyes. I was determined to help them understand me, but no matter my efforts, they would quickly dismiss it, saying, "That's how rich people are." Even the gifts I sent were met with sarcasm. Slowly, I grew distant from my in-laws, while Jason began spending more time with them, especially after his father fell ill 2 years into our marriage. Despite sharing a home, our interactions became minimal. Then, out of the blue, Jason announced, "I quit my job because housework is too demanding." His unilateral decision angered me, considering our lack of communication, making us seem like a couple in name only. Although he claimed to be busy with housework, he often went out, seemingly to the casino. When I brought this up, he retorted, "Just hire a housekeeping service. I'm not your servant, and you have the money, so it's fine." I was left speechless. About 2 months after his father's passing, Jason and his mother, wearing solemn expressions, appeared at my house. Jason declared, "I'm moving into this house with my mom." As I stood there in shock, my mother-in-law, positioned behind me, stepped forward and shouted, "I'll cover the monthly payments to leave." Surprised, I blurted out, "Wait, please. Can you afford the rent, Mother?" This seemed to strike a nerve as she turned red in the face and snapped, "You're always belittling people. You may think you're always the best. We have our ways too. We won't be looked down on forever." Jason also snorted in contempt. "I won't always bend to your wishes. I'll chart my own path," he declared. Faced with their strong attitudes, I came to the realization that dealing with them was becoming impossible. Reflecting on everything that had unfolded, I reluctantly agreed, "Fine, I'll move out next month." However, my mother-in-law interjected, "Not next month, leave by next week. My moving stuff will arrive." Her schedule was unreasonably tight, and she had already planned her move without waiting for my final decision. What was she thinking? As I hesitated, she casually remarked, "You're wealthy, just hire someone to move for you." It wasn't about the money. It seemed they couldn't look past the notion that being affluent makes you less human. I started to ponder, why don't they find a new place? This is my rental. But as if predicting this, my mother-in-law countered, "This is Jason's place. Just because you make some money, don't get too carried away." It was evident she disliked that I earned more than Jason. Glancing at Jason once more, I saw a man so different from when we first met, his face contorted and unappealing. His appearance became repugnant, and I questioned why I had married him in the first place. In that moment, a strong desire to leave and not share the same air with them overcame me. This, I thought to myself, is the moment one decides on a divorce. Turning away from them, I calmly stated, "Fine, I'll move out this weekend. We'll handle the paperwork." At that, they exchanged triumphant glances, almost reveling in the feeling of defeating a longtime adversary. It felt strangely liberating. Swiftly, I searched for a new apartment and a moving company, sorting out all the necessary paperwork. Despite being occupied with business trips, I managed it all. Upon returning home to find Jason asleep and treating me as if I were invisible over the weekend, he emotionlessly signed the divorce papers, and my former mother-in-law signed the lease agreement with the real estate agent. I wondered if she even considered the $6,000 rent. So I left the luxury condo, moving out solo. Naturally, I opted for a high-security apartment, a one-room space sufficient for one person. Considering it an opportunity, I let go of many possessions, feeling a sense of renewal. Having the freedom to decorate as I pleased was a pleasant change. I immersed myself in interior decorating for my new apartment, or more accurately, I had to immerse myself to avoid going insane. Never did I imagine that my long-standing relationship with Jason would conclude in this manner. We used to be each other's support during our financially challenging college days. The distortion that gradually crept in over time is quite unsettling. However, a shocking revelation shook my understanding of the situation. A college classmate mentioned witnessing Jason indulging in a nightclub, and an acquaintance from my previous apartment shared sightings of my former mother-in-law driving off in an opulent foreign car, adorned in expensive fur and barely recognizable. The irony was profound. Despite their disdain for the wealthy, they had achieved affluence themselves after I left. Then, out of the blue, 2 months later, Jason called me, sounding almost in tears, and pleaded, "Please help me." I was utterly bewildered. After unilaterally driving someone away, now seeking help, it seemed a terrible twist of fate. Driven by curiosity, I inquired about the situation. Jason began pouring out his story as if a dam had burst. It all started 3 months ago when my former mother-in-law, in a state of excitement, informed Jason, "Guess what? $3 million. We won $3 million. She had been buying lottery tickets annually, and this time, luck was on their side. Shocked, Jason asked, "Really?" And she confidently replied, "Absolutely. I checked it many times. We're rich now, no more being ridiculed by the wealthy. God has been watching over us." Jason fully believed her. She continued, "Now you can break free from that woman's slavery, Jason. She's got a young man on the side, you know. Leave her something." In the thrill of the moment, they both decided to sever ties with me, united in the notion of driving out the perceived devil. Subsequently, they moved into a luxurious condo, reveling in their newfound affluent lifestyle. Jason depleted his savings, and his mother spent her late husband's inheritance extravagantly. However, their joy was short-lived when, upon attempting to cash the lottery ticket, the bank informed them that it was from the previous year, not the current one. Despair engulfed them as it was revealed that the mother had mistakenly checked this year's numbers on last year's ticket. Their hesitation to cash it immediately, fearing my potential claim in the divorce, backfired. Stunned, my response was a simple, "That's unfortunate." And as I prepared to end the call, Jason desperately inquired, "Can I seek compensation, right?" I couldn't fathom the audacity. Compensation? You were the one making baseless accusations, quitting your job and claiming compensation for housework you didn't do. I never requested him to quit his job, and instead of contributing to household chores, he was squandering his time gambling. My anger flared, and I couldn't hold back, yelling, "Don't be absurd, you lazy husband." My sudden outburst surprised Jason, evident in the fear discernible over the phone. If anyone deserves compensation, it's me being kicked out like that, enduring constant complaints about the wealthy from a jealous mother and son who never made an effort. Having aired my grievances, I felt a sense of relief and hung up. The lottery ticket blunder was a foolish mistake. Well, they are just another family to me now. Their fate is of no concern to me. 3 days later, a familiar figure appeared in front of my factory. It was my former mother-in-law, disheveled and clad in worn-out clothes. She seemed like a victim as she suddenly knelt, pleading, "Please, please. I can't afford the $6,000 rent. Please come back." Letting out a sigh, I responded, "Didn't you read the documents? You should check things more carefully. First, the lottery ticket, and now this." She looked up resentfully, saying, "Are you going to abandon this unlucky mother and son?" I shook my head, stating, "Luck is something you create. I've forged my own luck." "What have you been doing?" Dumbfounded, she slumped, and I walked past her without offering assistance. Glancing back after a while, she was still seated there. I didn't look back again and continued on my way. Later, I learned that Jason and his mother were evicted from the luxury condo. They relocated to a dilapidated wooden apartment, working tirelessly in part-time jobs, having depleted all their savings. Meanwhile, I intensified my focus on work, and my factory expanded beyond a small-scale operation. I acquired a larger plot nearby to construct a new factory with facilities for parental leave and childcare. Although I can't share this progress with my parents, witnessing happy families with children at work brings back memories of my childhood